found flamenco through Antonio Rosario in 1951.
Oh, I loved him, he was wonderful. The way he took off his jacket, no one could take the jacket off like he did. He had this magic when he came onto the stage.
And then once I saw the flamenco, that was it. I thought that's what I really would like to do.
So it's like seeing Errol Flynn doing fencing. You wanted to do that.
No one could do these things like he did. It was just wonderful to watch him.
I think those days of going to see Antonio at the theatre, seeing him, what he did, I think that was the major turning point in my life. I decided that I really wanted to be serious in what I did.
What we learned was much more basic, less complicated, pure flamenco, but what we've got now is so rich, so complex. When I see now the great Carmen Amaya dancing, she looks very, very old-fashioned. She was great, but that's in the past. You couldn't dance the way I learned. Now, you had to change it.
The Peña is very important because it's the opportunity when the teachers can get their pupils on.
You could recognise the style of the teacher by looking at the students. You see, it's not so easy to do that now. And in Spain was the same. You recognised who they study with by the way they danced.
We were at rival teachers, and each one would rival, say, oh, we work with Elijah, oh no, I work with Elsa, and each one was loyal to their own teacher.
I got the fever because I wanted to do flamenco. She got it because it was fantastic Spanish ballet.
I studied with Madame Elijah because she did classical Spanish dance. That's ballet with castanets. Madame Brunelleschi had a very sort of, she used to try and get them to feel their dances, so all her students used to sort of be very sort of, put all these expressions and things trying to show feeling.
This is Madame Brunelleschi. This is me. It was a long time ago. For somebody like me who'd never known real proper dancing, something that wasn't made of rubbish, you know. People today are very lucky. They go to Spain on courses, artists come here to teach. We did not have any of that. We had to grab what we could. And suddenly Maribel appeared. And she is first class. A first class dancer.
Over 40 years, flamenco has developed, has gotten more bigger. Because before, the performance used to be very small, and the women only used to use the arms, hardly any feet at all, and the men used to do the footwork, which now the women does as much as the men, if not more.
we're talking about 40 years ago, you know.
I haven't lived in England for 27 years, so you know, I've lost a bit.
It's
But when I heard about this, I thought, oh, I'm coming over.
it's only when you put these photos away, or you don't see them for 30 years or more, and then suddenly they pop up, and then your mind starts reverting back to those times, you know.
This picture show is absolutely terrific.
I've been crippled since I was 8. I was friends with a girl who lived in the flats where I lived. One day her mother shared an umbrella with a lady who was teaching Spanish dancing in the school at the end of the street. And I was told about this and not terribly interested at first, but I decided one day to go and have a look. The teacher called me in, you know, come in, and I had 2 sticks because I was limping. It used to take me about a quarter of an hour to walk just up to the roads. So I was quite crippled. And I showed her the sticks. So she said, come in anyway. And I thought she meant to watch. And she took the sticks away and propped me up between 2 girls. And I learnt my first steps of the Sevillanas. In 3 months, I didn't need the sticks. And in 2 years I was dancing professionally in a Spanish restaurant called Casa Pepe in Soho. And my mother wasn't very pleased about all of this because she thought that this trouble I had with my legs would come back and I'd be disappointed. And also she didn't like it, I was earning more money than she was. In the Casa Pepe we were being paid £9 a week and she was all day in factory earning £6 a week. Well, I teach dancers from La Kika, who is my teacher. There are 7 dancers of La Kika. I couldn't remember more than that. I remember those because I've written them down in a dance notation form, which is my own dance notation. These days, people, they like to have longer dances. They tend to repeat things, and they repeat sections of footwork for very long passages of time. For example, La Kika's dance averages, say, 3 minutes for each dance, and now people go on stage and they dance for 14 minutes. So I always keep those dances going, and I teach them within my own framework of dances. I've given my life to flamenco, my whole life, from the age of 14 to now, and I'm now 70. I couldn't walk, and it gave me a way of being. It gave me work. It gave me, I was happy dancing. Dancing will always be very important to me. It's my best friend and my life.
Ayúdame. Ay, tu boca ardiente para mis labios finos. Ay, dame. Ay, tu corazón para fundirlo con el mío. Ay, dame un reposo en mi hombro para tu negro pepe que lo ay, dame un minuto de amor. Ay, para morir mis sueños, y ay, 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 dame tu amor. Y ay, dame tu beso. Yo me muero de amor. Ay, solo por ver esto, dame, dame, dame. dame tu corazón, dame, dame, dame tu corazón, ay, solo por eso, dame, dame, dame tu corazón.
When I started dancing, it was 1953. I'd been out of the RAF for a couple of months. I was playing rugby as fiercely as ever, and I got a bang on the ear which broke my eardrum. So the doctor said, give it up for a season so that he could try and heal the ear for me. I started putting on weight. And the next thing I knew, I thought, oh, I must do something to get rid of this weight. So I started to look for something to do, and I found this Welsh national dancing. I was surprised when we started doing a Russian dance, Swedish dance, and then a Spanish dance. Now the Spanish dance was the jota. And it was lovely because you had to leap like a goat, which was right up my street. And it was so easy. I mean, it was a low ceiling, so I was able to hit the ceiling with my hands when I jumped. And they were looking in amazement at this. And everybody just moved away and gave me all the centre of the floor to dance in until the teacher said, just tone down your dancing a little bit, please, just a little bit. We had a tea break then, and I went over to her. I said, excuse me, miss, when do we do the Welsh dancing? And she said, oh, no, she said, Welsh dancing is Wednesdays. This is international dancing. National dancing's tomorrow. I never got to tomorrow. I was bitten by the bug, and I didn't need anything to keep my weight down better than the Spanish dancing. I'd managed to get some money together, and when the money check came through in March, I went straight off to Spain. I went to Granada. This was about 1963. When I went, it was great fun. I really enjoyed myself. I turned up and got work, and I clicked with this family, and they were very nice to me. They gave me a little cave to sleep in, and as I had my own rucksack, I just used to curl up on some rush mats, and I was quite happy there. So I slept in a cave and lived in a cave, and when the show was over at night, about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I got my little Bunsen burner out and cooked. La Farona was the head, and she was very definitely had her thumb down on everybody. She dominated the cave very well. And she comes in, puts her hands on my shoulder and makes a big statement. She said, my son, hijo mía, while you're alive, there's a bed for you here on the Sacramonte. And while I'm alive, there's a meal for you in my kitchen. And that meant, like a statement to everybody in the family, I was now family. I'd enjoyed myself so much in Spain, but I was quite happy to have a rest. And I didn't have much money and didn't have much prospects in this country because all the jobs were taken in the restaurants and the bars. And my teacher, Elsa, said, there's a young girl from Liverpool. She's got a few jobs. Why didn't you go up there? We clicked and rehearsed every day. Then after a month or so, we got a proper act together. And then we would go and work with what are called the weekly clubs, where you danced every night, 7 nights. That was it. We never looked back from then. One very good restaurant was the Casa Pepe. It was quite famous because it had a very large sign outside, electric sign, lit up sign, and it showed a man pouring wine trickling down his forehead over his nose, and he was drinking it out of a pour-on. And that was the old man Pepe's favourite trick. I managed to get this name, Jose Garcia, because we went to this funny agent, and he said to me, change your name to Spanish no speaking English, I'll double your wages. It was so much fun dancing with Josie because she's my goddaughter and I'd never danced with her before in the show, only in class. And she wanted to get together and do something really nice. So we did this charity and they made a joke of the fact that she was only 10 and I was 70, so there was 60 years between us. And it was really a good fun because I had to be very careful. I couldn't dance my usual spontaneous self. I could only dance within myself. But it was a great success, the whole show. When I went to Spain, I didn't immediately go out and get flamenco. I didn't look for it. I just stood still and waited until flamenco came to me. And it did.
It was at New Theatre Hull, and I was working with Carmela, Morris's wife, and we did a rumba, and it went down so well with the audience. He wouldn't let us do it the following night. That's absolutely true.
Ni por el mar, ni por el río, llevan al hombre tormento mío, ni por el mar, ni por la arena, llevan al hombre que me da pena.
When I used to dance, it was such a small place. When I was twirling round, I used to knock all the breadsticks off the table with my skirt.
It was funny you should say that, because when I was working at Casa Pepe, you know, I used to sweat like mad.
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
I remember
and of course
that.
people said, like, will you stay away from the customers, because all the sweat used to go in their food.
Ramon's the same.
Yeah, terrible. But when we say it's terrible, it was lovely at the time when we done it. I mean, you know, we wish we could do it today. Today, you really got to love Spanish dancing or flamenco, because you have a lesson, there's nowhere to go and do it. The Acapulco, we could say that when I started, it was the only place to go, and that was where it was 2 and 6. You had a coffee or a Coke, and you had a night's entertainment. And there's me sitting there doing palmas or getting up and to dance. The Acapulco was really the first place where everybody went. First I used to work down the market, you know, and then I worked on several things. I was in a bacon stoves, carrying bales of bacon. Stalls, I had a shirt store in the end, selling shirts. That was when I was dancing at the same time. There was a couple of Spanish dancers, they were dancing at the Spanish restaurant called Casa Pepe, and they were going back to Spain, and they happened to say to me, Ron, would you go and do an audition? I took that as a great compliment. So I went there for an audition, and of course she said, will you dance? Well, I didn't take anything, so I said, well, look, I've got crepe sole shoes, and she said, well, it doesn't matter. So of course, you know, I took off my jacket. I think I left my tie on, and I took my braces down and tied it. I looked a state, I must say. I'd done a little bit of dancing. Well, I got the job. Now, that's where I learnt my flamenco. 6 nights a week, right? 4 shows a night, £9 a week. But I didn't, in fact, I was told off because I never used to pick my money up, you know, because I just loved dancing. Parties at this house with flamencos, for me, is the most fantastic thing. And we used to come back to the house here about 7:30, and some of us used to stay here till 2:30 in the morning. My poor neighbours, I feel sorry for them still. I mean, to have all these people come to your house and actually perform, you know, it's just wonderful. I mean, you couldn't wish for anything better in your life, you know, I mean, and they've done it because they loved it. That was 1986, and it was my 60th birthday.
Would you mind taking my cloak off?
I better not! It's an honour which, like everybody says, I wasn't expecting it or anything like that. But it was made and designed specially for me, although I can't wear the hat. That's the annoying part, I can't go out in it. They also gave me a cheque, and of course I didn't have my glasses on, and you know, it could have been for £10 and £100 or something like that. And of course what happened when I got home and I put my glasses on, it was £1,000. I think this is what I seem to do now. Enjoy life. You go out hammer and tongs, and if you die, it doesn't matter.
Can you hear me? I cannot hear myself. This is our first time in the Peña de Londres, so we are rather nervous. For me, flamenco has been all my life. I began flamenco through drama school, and then I carried on with a lot of performances. At the moment, I'm teaching and doing occasional performances, but not at the level I did them before. They are very special students because they are very committed and they are very loyal to me. All my students have become my friends. I had grown up at the time of Franco, and I didn't know what liberty was all about. I managed to get a contract from some people in London to work as an au pair girl, and that's the first time that I came here. And then went back to Spain after doing my 9 or 10 months in this country, and my English was a bit better. And I couldn't settle in Spain. Once you know freedom, you realize what you are missing. Couldn't dance in Madrid because what would the neighbors say? What would society say? You are a nice girl. Mommy used to say, but people won't think that you are a nice girl if you are on the stage. So to perform, I had to perform in Seville when I was studying with Enrique El Cojo. And when I came here, obviously, everything developed beautifully. That was late 60s, early 70s. And there was a lot of cabaret going on. So apart from performances that we did all over the country, we did a lot of cabaret in the West End. It was mad, because, especially in the winter, because we had 2 shows, sometimes 3 in each cabaret, and sometimes we had 3 venues a night. They were all very close to each other, but we had to put our coats in the shandos and run into Casa Antonio, and then again put the coats and very, very quickly go into the Costa Brava. And of course you had the flowers and you had the earrings. That was hard work but fun also. And then I formed Duende Flamenco. And that was a small company which I could manage myself. We were about 4 dancers, 2 guitarists and a singer. I've been dancing with Duende Flamenco since then, in mid-70s, non-stop until, 3 or 4 years ago. So I used to travel to Newcastle and the same day I traveled back, and Manchester and Birmingham and Falkirk and Edinburgh, you name it. We did workshops all over the place. For me, flamenco is life. You get to study flamenco at the beginning, then you get addicted. And once you are addicted, it is part of your life. At the end of it all, flamenco is something that I need.
Yo estoy sufriendo la penita de mi madre, que no vuelve más, hospitalito de calle, en un hospital. Salí de la breña y me metí en San Pablo, la fatiguita de la muerte. Se me rodearon. Hombre.
Ballet was a great thing in those days, and we had ballet clubs everywhere, and they had now and then guest artists, and you went there and you explained about the dancing, and you danced certain things and you explained where they came from, which part of Spain. It was quite interesting, this. I went to Chichester, I went to Leeds, I went, God knows, Bristol. I can't tell you, I went all over the place to ballet clubs, to dance and to talk about it. Luckily, I was able to make my costumes. This was a favorite costume of mine. It was in lovely colors, dark red and a beautiful flower pattern. It was for more serious type of dances. There were in the West End lots of things of single evenings where people did in a hotel single evenings of this, that and the other. Well, he was Slovakian, Theodor Torres. We met and I came back from tour. I saw an advert in the Dancing Time and I rang him up and we met, and from that day we just got on and danced. We were friends really to the end of his life.
you say?
It's funny, the photographer who took this photograph is here tonight. So that's really quite amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it, 50 years.
Yeah.
God.
I was thinking about it when on the plane coming home.
Really? What was you thinking?
My God, it's a long time. Will I recognise anybody? We've gone long times when we haven't seen each other, and then suddenly we see each other a few times.
I mean, you don't see somebody for 20 years, 25 years.
Because I've been out of England for 27 years.
And of course the thing is how we've changed in that
You've
time.
changed, I haven't changed.
No, you haven't changed. I've changed. Age is something you can't do anything about, unfortunately, you know. I mean, in myself, I feel like I'm 21, you know.
It's funny, when I'm with him, I feel about 22, so that's
We should
all
come over. Should have come over more often then, shouldn't you? You know.
Pasó diciendo, mi arma pasó diciendo. Pasó diciendo la nieve, por tu cara que la nieve, por tu cara que la nieve, por tu cara pasó diciendo, pasó diciendo. Pasó diciendo donde no, hago falta que donde no, hago falta que donde no, hago falta no me entretengo, no me entretengo. Porque la nieve donde nos hace falta, porque la nieve donde nos hace falta y nos entretiene. ¡Ale, viva Sevilla! Y olé. Thank you very much. Qué bonito, muchas gracias. Qué bien bailado, bien bailado.
I met a guy called Antonio Vargas, who was a Spanish dancer as well, and he lured me into academy in Bayswater with a woman called Elsa Brunelleschi. She started teaching me Spanish dance, starting with things like sevillanas and with castanets, and then she was teaching me classical ballet, Cecchetti technique, which we had as ballet classes, and flamenco, and then we did classical Spanish like malagueñas and things like that, you see. Then I started to do my first cabaret spots and organised by Elsa. And then from then on, obviously people asked me to do things, and I would get up impromptu sometimes and dance at a place called the Chandos in Leicester Square. Then we, all of us, suddenly found that we were, you know, using our flamenco technique, you know, which we'd learned from just being a hobby, or, you know, to start working doing semi-professional work. Obviously I couldn't use my ordinary name, which was Stanley Pillar. And I had a brother whose name was Raymond. So I thought, well, I'll use Raymond, so the Spanish equivalent would be Ramon. So it became Ramon Villa, or in Spanish, Ramon Villar. Yes, I think looking at this program actually was the first major tour and program that we did. Prior to doing my own theatres and civic theatres, I contacted an impresario called Derek Block, who was interested in my ideas, and we had a meeting in Oxford Street in his office, and he suggested that we put the company out on tour, and we called the company a Flamenco Playa Dance Company of Madrid, which at the time seemed quite novel, so I went along with it. And we had great audiences, you know, anything from sort of 400 or 500 seater theatres up to 2,000. And we gave them Spanish flamenco, we gave them classical Spanish, we gave them South American, and we had the singers and the guitarists, classical dance. So it was a great era at the time, you know, to work.
I went off to Spain in 1955 and stayed there till 1959. And we had no return ticket, didn't have anywhere to stay. I don't know how my mother allowed me to go, but she did. Didn't have anywhere to stay. We didn't know exactly where we were going. We just knew we were going to Madrid. We found a pension, we found a dance teacher, and then we found a job. I do the choreography I used to do, but I add to it, and I I do a lot of choreography myself now, but I do love teaching. They're not going to be professional dancers. They're just housewives that want to do it for fun, and they've been coming for years, and they do enjoy it, and it's like a little club, you know. It's but we just have fun, really. But a lot of the flamenco dances are dances that I did when I was living in Madrid. Well, these were my two partners who came from Córdoba. We formed a trio Los Andaluces. We toured abroad with them, but when they first came over, we danced in the clubs. We danced mainly in the Costa Brava club. Normally we'd be paid by the week, because when I danced, we were dancing all the time in Costa Brava and Casa Pepe. I mean, it was a job. But when we went to the north, we usually did weekly contracts, you know, and then later years it was one nightly. You know, nobody seemed to want artists for a week. We danced in places where they hadn't seen flamenco before, and they were very interested and interested in learning. By that time I think there were a few companies coming over, so if they've seen a company then they wanted to see more, so they'd go to the clubs to see us.
I think, quite honestly, flamenco is traditional, and if you're going to do traditional dance, you should be wearing a traditional clothes. All my costumes have been my own design, yeah. I've had such a series of jackets, you know. Yeah, any colour you can remember, like purple to red, green, blue. I used to wear a white suit. I had a white suit, which was one of my favourites, actually. I used to like wearing white. So I got nicknamed by Rafael Rodriguez. They called me La Crema, which means the cream.
Y adoro y ese brillo chiquitito.
Yeah.
Oh, are you doing something?
No, well,
Well, you've got a jacket. You didn't need my red one.
Well, it doesn't fit me, that red one.
Oh,
Your
where
one.
is it?
I've got it inside. I'll give it to you.
Give it to me now.
Yeah.
It was a difficult day because we had arranged I made all the costumes. We'd booked the hall, booked the lighting, and then unfortunately, or sadly, my husband died the night before the show. He'd got cancer, which was only diagnosed in February, but he died July the 10th, and our little show was July the 12th, so I had to carry on. There was no way I could let people down. So I was really, I'm not sure if I was there or not, but apparently it went very well.
Ay, mi padre que llamado Juan, y un andaluz figurín. Ay, mi madre que negra criolla, y yo que mulatito nací. Yo quiero a Cuba, ay, yo quiero a España, ay, en la tierra que me ha visto que el camino de nacer. Yo creo que me dieron la vida, sin ella no puedo vivir. Ya que mi madre que llamado Juan, un andaluz figurín, ya que mi madre que negra y que criolla, y yo de mulatito nací. Y si no se le quitan bailando, que los colores ya la molinera, si no se le quitan bailando, que de gala que se vaya y se muera. Y hay que dejarla que se vaya y se muera. Y hay que dejarla que se vaya y
I think it's this one. Can you remember? I know we went. Sure
I know it was going up the top.
No, you went down.
Down. But there was something up the top.
There was a bar as you went in.
Yes.
Bar with and tables. Then you went down the stairs.
Yeah.
And that's where we danced.
Yeah, but I remember seeing, what was that girl who was dancing?
Me.
No, before you.
It was either this one or that one. I can't remember which.
I think it was this one, actually.
I think it was this one.
Yes.
And we went, but it looks, I thought the door was that side.
But things change.
Well, things change, yeah.
I mean, would you like to come here and see? Remember things?
Can you remember, did you dance here? Or
yeah,
did you
when it was new though. That was in the 61 or 62, 62.
Let's move on. So, that's fantastic. Memory lane.
This isn't Hanway Street, this is Memory Lane.
It is.
Ya yo te daría, ya yo te daría, un puente pa' que pasara de tu casita a la mía, un puente pa' que pasara de tu casita a la mía. Ya sentadito en mi escalera, ya sentadito en mi escalera, ya esperando el porvenir, ya el porvenir nunca llega, esperando el porvenir, ya el porvenir nunca
I went to work with Margarita. Margarita had a restaurant named after her called the Margarita Restaurant off Regent Street. She was a lovely dancer.
I think it was 1954 to 1960, 61. Antonio would come with his company, and often they would come. They'd have a special price for dinner, shall we say, after work, so they could come.
Who'd have thought that I was going to dance at the Margarita, and one day he would come in. But of course, I wasn't introduced to him. I mean, I was dancing. We were on stage, had to be on stage, sitting there and just dance. But he was very gracious, and you know, he sat there and he was quiet and watching, and well, yes, my hero was there. Really, you know, it was amazing. And Rosita Segovia, as I said, Rosita got up and danced for us. She was wonderful. She borrowed a dress from Margarita, and she gave us a lovely song and dance.
It was named after me. It was opened for me, and this is why I danced there. And I used to bring guitarists from Spain. The singer we had was Paco Galliano, who was from Gibraltar. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he sang there. But I brought lots of guitarists. I brought dancers. And so it was as they say, un punto de encuentro, as they say in Spain. People would come about 8:30 or 8:30. The show would start at 9. We would have a show about an hour, maybe then have half an hour rest, and then we have another show at from 11 to 12. So it was completely based on the show. It wasn't a restaurant that you, on the food. Well, we had very good chefs from Spain. We brought all the chefs from Spain. And the food was very good, paella, as you can imagine. It was based on the show, dinner espectáculo. It was a place where everybody would come to see a bit of flamenco and feel a bit of Spain.
7 clubs. Well, I took the music, of course. They found it very hard to play. No one could play a Paso Doble, which was a nice commercial number to do. But of course they couldn't play it. Some things were completely unrecognizable, but I had to go on, you know, plod on and plod on. And one day one club I went to, it was so frustrating. I thought, I can't do this. It doesn't sound like anything on earth the way they're playing it. So I said, have you got any records? And they said, oh, yes. And I said, well, let me look through them and I'll see if I can find anything suitable for dancing. So I looked through all these records, 78s I think they were, and I saw one. I said, oh yes, this might do. And it was Peggy Lee singing Gypsy with a Fire in His Shoes. So I put that on and I had to work to that. The Acapulco probably was the first. They'd refurbished. I'd never been there when it was the old Acapulco. We all danced with one another, yes, because the restaurants would book certain people and they would get a group together and, oh yes, we've danced pretty well with each other, all of us.
I came about a couple of 3 times here. I performed, I don't know, I think it was with you. I performed with you here. And yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, because we were performing at Antonio's and then you were performing here and they needed another dancer.
I think...
Yes.
What do you think?
It must have been much bigger then because we sat in a corner over there and the bar was over there.
No, it was bigger than this one.
Oh, it was much bigger, but it was here.
But the place, it was very small. The place we had to dance was very small.
Oh yeah, it was like tiny, yes, I
now,
remember.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I hated performing here.
We should ask them. What was this before you came here?
Yeah. This is your baby.
It was my baby, yes. It was where I danced. Yeah.
And you, Maria, so...
Pardon?
And he was your baby as well.
You danced
No.
here?
Yes, I danced there. What do you mean, my baby?
But not so long, not so long.
I'm talking about you were working here.
Pardon?
As well. You were working here.
Yeah.
Police
Oh,
baby.
so-
I know.
Yeah,
She was in the Casa Antonio when I was dancing here, I think. Yes.
But I mean, I don't know.
Right, well, should we go on to the Antonio then?
We better go on to Casa Antonio, yes.
Oh, Casa Antonio.
That's
Okay.
your baby then.
That was my baby.
Come, let's go.
Now I appreciate London because that's where I came to live. But when I first came, I wanted to go back to Spain. I thought, well, let's try to make a life in Spain. I found the life completely different, apart from the cold, the weather, always very dull, very grey. I found there was no life at all. What kept me basically sane was performing. And my first job in London was at Antonio's restaurant, which was a fantastic place. And that's how I started, from doing classical Spanish and doing modern and all. I started with flamenco. It was my first time I dedicate myself to flamenco. And then I performed at Costa Brava, which was in Charing Cross. And there I worked with Satli Perete, which was another guitarist, Rocío, Jose as well, there, and another, Maria Rosa. So we were a nice group. We used to just get together and make a group and perform. the immigrants were the ones who started going to flamenco. Plus, of course, there were English people, which they used to go on holidays, and they loved flamenco, so they used to come. So the public started developing the flavor for flamenco. I got pupils coming to my classes, very shy, very inwards. And through flamenco you can see it's like a flower opening up. And you can see how they develop and how positive they become. And that's what flamenco does to people. They get rid of all the tensions in your body, all the anguish, because it's such a powerful dance. And they give you this kind of stamina, powerful stamina. Positive, being positive in life. Flamenco for me, and it is my whole life. And once somebody asked me, what is flamenco? I said, well, it's like my second baby, my children, and then flamenco. As without flamenco, I will be dead.
La maleta de tu cuerpo, de la piel te quemará. Con esta maña, tú tienes una maña, cuando te riño da malo. Cuando te riño da malo, guagua. Es que te quiero, yo la quería, yo tengo mi casa entero nuevo. Yo tengo mi casa entero nuevo. Yo tengo mi casa entero.
I sing in Costa Brava. It's in the other side here. I sing in here. I sing in the Acapulco. I sing in another restaurant that was in the corner there. That I don't remember. Algo de Molino, algo it was called. I sing in so many restaurants that I don't know. I don't remember. Casa Manuel, El Sombrero. I sing in all those. Now I don't sing it nowhere.
Ay, el corazón pa' cantar la malagueña. Ay, 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 a subir. Ay, a subir por la garganta. Es un grito de dolor que hasta la piedra quebrantan.
I've started my flamenco life here in London, not being as Tito or others there where they've originated from Spain and come here to and being ambassadors, let's say, of the flamenco in a foreign land. So I'm quite exceptional to the rule. So, and that's, and obviously we still continue. I've been doing that for 15 years. I love doing flamenco. My daughter here, Alba, she's 5. Our daughter, Tito and mine. She's another lover of flamenco, and so I think she's the newest of the generation now. And she loves dancing, don't you? And singing.
andaba hablando. Y en el barrio de Tiana, porque ha visto una gallina, un repique de campana, y al bolotal me llama la marinera, la borrachita de la monte, la borrachita de la monte. Si te ven que tu padre te dirá la mañana temprano, y ahí cuando los veas, hay los dos solitos, que agarradito de la mano, ay, agarradito de la mano, y hay que te ven que tu madre que te dirá la mañana temprano. Sí, mira, vámonos ya. ¡Vía! ¡A ver los cuerpos! ¡Ya, ya! ¡Ay, que te quiero! ¡Ay, pero de la sí que yo me la llevo! ¡Ay, pero de la sí yo me la llevo! ¡Pero de la sí yo! ¡Ya! ¡Sí! Y el cocinito, bien peladito, y el cocinito, que hay que lo peló, que la vieja cachonda que estaba aquí en el rincón, comiendo gazpacho con un cucharón. La vieja cachonda que estaba en el rincón, comiendo gazpacho que en un cucharón. Ya y vámonos ya, dale ya al timo, contra más te mueve, que más me muevo yo. Contra más te mueve, más me muevo yo. Contra más te mueve, más me muevo yo. Contra más te mueve, más me muevo yo. Ay, que te quiero, ya te quiero. Ay, pero de la sí yo me la. Ay, pero de la sí yo me la. Y el cochillito le haré, ya me dijo no se le haré. Ya que si quería montarme cosas, ya que yo le dije con mucho salero, no quiero cosas, ya que me mareo. ¡Ay, que me mareo! ¡Ay, que me mareo! ¡Ya que me mareo!
When you realize that when you have this, and you know only know this, that's all you know. But this is flamenco. That's all you know. And we all are trying to make this, all that. So it has to become generation by generation. Otherwise, it dies. And without losing the purity, which we have to grab onto, the perfection of it is living. We will all die poor. Flamenco will maintain its stamp on life.